Thank you very much for this episode of Interaction on National Issues. Thank you, viewers, for joining in from any part of the world. You know, Reuben Abati's statement that Igbo do not sell land to the outsiders, it's very unfortunate. It's unguarded. And I think it was meant particularly to malign Igbo with very ulterior motives. Let me start. My father was into real estate business. And before the war, a man who was not from my town bought a land, had his documents. After the war, the man did not know where the land was, did not have any documents. They told him my father was the honest man. Now point the land to him. He came to my father with gifts and all this. My father said, no, I remember you. I'll take it. Thank you very much for this episode of Interaction on National Issues. Thank you, viewers, for joining in from any part of the world. You know, Reuben Abati's statement that Igbo do not sell land to the outsiders, it's very unfortunate. It's unguarded. And I think it was meant particularly to malign Igbo with very ulterior motives. Let me start. My father was into real estate business. And before the war, a man who was not from my town bought a land, had his documents. After the war, the man did not know where the land was, did not have any documents. They told him my father was the honest man. Now point the land to him. He came to my father with gifts and all this. My father said, no, I remember you. I'll take you to your land anytime you are ready. So my father took him to his land. And the man turned out to be a bank manager. And he told my father, so it is really true. We still have honest people. Yeah, he is now going to facilitate a loan for my father to improve his business. And that was how my father took loan from the bank and nationalized his transport business, which helped him to become one of the richest men in the town during our own time, because he sold land to somebody who is not from our town. And so when a man now comes to make statements that he's not versed in, then you will know that he has personal anti-Igbo mentality in his gene. Recall that when Nigeria got its independence, University of Nigeria was sited in Nsukka, my town. And that made it a town that everybody from Nigeria came into the land. And it's because they were accommodated. Also, you had a lot of Yoruba, Hausa, coming to University of Nigeria. There were 3 universities then. You had University of Ibadan. They named it after Ibadan. You had Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. And then you had University of Nigeria. So would a town, would a people that have been pro-Nigeria from beginning begin to discriminate as to who to sell land to? Would the people whose article in trade is buying and selling begin to discriminate when they want to sell their land? When an Igbo man is dealing in business, he's looking at profit and loss, not where you come from. Now, if Igbo are doing well in real estate in Lagos and doing well in real estate in Abuja, where did they learn it from? They learned it from dealing in real estate from their own town, from their own place, because that is merely an expansion. You can't give what you don't have. Now, do you sell land to your own people? No. Everybody has land. If you are a man in Igbo land, you're entitled to a plot of land in your own land. So if there was any land sold by Igbo, it is sold to people who are not Igbo. And then, how can somebody ignorantly begin to make such statement? Reuben Abati simply celebrated his ignorance publicly. And let me tell you, he offended the legal profession, because in law, you don't condemn a people unheard. You cannot condemn a people without hearing from their side. He just said he borrowed a language from T.O.S. Benson without even knowing the context. And he ran to television and established it and asserted it as a fact. He's against the legal profession. And he condemned Igbo unheard. What he would have done is to get an Igbo expert to be educated or present him on the studio to talk on behalf of Igbo. He offended journalistic profession. Is either you are talking as a moderator or as a guest. When you are a moderator, your job is to bring opposing sides, interview two of them. They will give you their views. Then you allow the public to make up their opinion. Or you are a guest, and then you will be interrogated by the moderator, who will now be playing the devil's advocate to ask you cross-examination on the things you claim. But this is a man who just came on air, formed an opinion, and intimidated the journalists around him, and started saying it out without fair hearing and without allowing Igbo to examine what he's saying, and without allowing any other journalist to cross-examine him. He has displayed absolute hatred, absolute anti-Igbo mentality, and absolute ignorance of both legal and journalistic profession. No wonder Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson that spoke an incumbent president, democratically elected president in Nigeria, to defeat. It has never happened. President Goodluck Jonathan, an incumbent elected, democratically elected government, elected president, Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson to speak him to defeat. And he acknowledged that it was his own ignorance. You know, after the regime of Goodluck Jonathan, he wrote a piece. Is Aso Villa bewitched? I said, because he will plan everything and think that what he's going to say is going to make a point, that everybody will love it. And we thought that everybody will turn against what he's saying. No, Aso Villa is not bewitched. The only person that is playing the role of a witch here is Reuben Abati. When he was the presidential spokesperson, he was ignorant of what he was doing. He was incompetent. And then he's blaming witches and wizards. Witches and wizards have suffered in this country. And that was how he spoke his president, incumbent, to defeat. I don't want to remember how the only politician he accepted to be deputy governor to is a man who is internationally, wanted for some drug dealing issues. And this is what a man who is purporting to be a man of integrity, this is the person he agreed to be his deputy governor. As a politician, he has failed woefully and will continue to fail. And he should stop living his disaffection of politics because of his failure. His failure in politics, he should know where to carry such a disappointment to, not to vent his unruly anger on Igbo people. And you know what? They gave him an opportunity to withdraw his statement or make amends. I saw Ojiobe trying to tell him it is not good to use one brush to condemn people. I say he's unapologetic about it. Let him go and look at his ugly face and character in the mirror, and let him know whether Igbo cares about apologies from such a people, such a creature that has continually failed. If I can remember, it's the name Ndoka that is paying his salaries in Arise Television. If he hates Igbo like that, doesn't want to have anything to do with anything Igbo, you first of all resign from Arise and stop collecting anything from Igbo and stop painting the Yoruba in bad light. Let me tell you about the Yoruba. I was in Yorubaland for 17 years. Omo Luwabini. Let me tell you who taught me concept of Omo Luwabini. Professor Babatunde Akin Oyebode. When he saw me in his office the first time, he said, "Young man, you have good vibes, or what the Americans call good aura. Yorubas are very accommodating." And he loved me and cherished me all through. Let me tell you about the Yoruba. I've always told people that was the place that we found the largest concentration of Igbo movie actors when we were living in bondage. And we felt so accommodated in Yorubaland that we were even thinking we were in our homes. Nobody was harassing us. Some of them gave us their houses, and we acted living in bondage that started Nollywood that is benefiting everybody. I've acted movies with actors and actresses from Yorubaland. I never picked a quarrel one day from any of them or with any of them. Let me tell you another incident. The first car I bought in my life was Mercedes 230. Remember then? The second one I bought, if you check in there, it's still there, put in Tapolin, Mercedes 500 S-Class. I was in my house one day when one of my Yoruba brothers came in, a police officer. He said, look, I have just gained admission. I have children. I don't have mobility. You have 2 cars. I think the guy was brilliant. He knew I had become born again. And maybe he knew that in the Bible, they say, if you have 2 coats and your brother doesn't have any, go to him. So when he was saying that, the scripture was playing on my head. And I remembered that the Yorubas love me and I love them in return. I gave him the Mercedes 230 flatboat, the first car I ever bought. He's still alive. He may still be alive. Nice guy, a police guy. They were taking special interest on everything that happened in my house because my house was close to the police station. And I related with him as a brother. Especially when I remembered how Fajui told the people that wanted to kill Aguiyi that you will not take him. They killed him too. When people begin to say Yoruba people are this and that, no, you don't paint a people by the action of a person because that person is not doing it in their name. Whatever Tinubu or Reuben Abati is doing is not in the name of the Yoruba. It's in their names. We should be holding people personally responsible, assuming without even considering. It's one Igbo man that made that comment. Why would you attribute it to the entire Igbo people? If an Igbo person say, I don't want to sell my land to you, why would you go and say, Ndi Igbo, do not sell land to the strangers? How then are they very good astute business people? Let me tell you another thing that happened. For you to know the love I share with the Yoruba. When I went in to read for my master's in international law and diplomacy, all the Yoruba in my class, majority of them, they came together and said, I was going to be their president. I thought they were joking. Because there was an alumnus of University of Lagos that was there who was interested in that post. But they said, no, we have seen in this man, the little days we have been with him, that he has the intellect, the character to be a good leader. Another Igbo man was interested. I went to that Igbo man and said, look, step down for me. Because it's not good for us to go into this divided. Well, I would have stepped down for you. But because it is this Yoruba people that came to me, if I step down for you, they would think I sold the mandate. He refused. And the Yoruba people insisted. Do you know, we went into the election. And they voted for me. And I won. And I used my resources. Then I was sitting pretty sure on some fortune, you know, little fortune as the first actor that acted the first movie that started in Hollywood. I used my little fortune, did so well for them, even had a dinner for them in Sheraton without asking for any annual dues from any of them. It was one good turn deserves another. So when you want to paint the Yoruba in any light, you know what I'm going to tell you? I love the Yoruba and they love me in return. And there is nothing a Reuben Abati and his ugly character and ugly content creation would do about it. Yoruba people are accommodating, they are loving. Both males, both females. I've acted with them on stage, I've dealt with them. I lived in that land for 17 years. I was born in the southeast. So my stardom was born in the southeast. It rose in the southwest. And now it is shining in the north. What a Nigerian. So you can see why I'm in love with Southeast, I'm in love with Southwest, and I'm in love with the North. Because I have interacted and I have been in all these places and they have blessed me and I will bless them in return at any opportunity. So what Reuben Abati said was unfortunate, uncalled for. He reflected his own anti-Igbo hatred and he would be held accountable. And like he himself said, he said he's unapologetic about it, just as I am totally unapologetic about what I'm saying about him. And he was quoting, it has been established that the man is even an in-law to Igbo people. And the content of it is that when the man wanted to buy land, they told him, no, you are our in-law.